What's shaking, my friends? My name is Shay. Welcome back to my channel, and today I have a crisis because this video is coming a little bit late to you guys, and that is because when I was shooting this video I realized really quick that I don't know what I'm doing with my life. So when somebody asks me, "Hey Shay, what kind of books do you read the most of?" the answer is going to be undoubtedly fantasy. So I decided to put together like a top 10 list of all-time favorite fantasy reads. The problem is when I tried to make this list, I don't have one. I cannot make a list because I do not, when I look back at fantasy series, which is what I'm trying to talk about today, series, not books, I don't really have like an all-time favorite series, and in a long time I haven't really found a lot of series. So like if we look back on, I read The Bear and the Nightingale, 2 books in that series, didn't care for it. I read The Book of the Ancestor by Mark Lawrence, 2 books in that series, didn't care for it. I read Founderside, didn't care for it. I read The Fifth Season, didn't care for it. And I've tried kind of all of these different series. I read The Witcher, didn't care for it. Like, when am I going to find some series I like? So I think later this year I'm just going to try out a whole bunch of different fantasy series because y'all, something has got to give. I have got to start reading stuff that I am enjoying. And I realized when I'm putting up this video that I am not doing that. But I am going to come at you with some of my favorite fantasy series that I look fondly back on, and we will discuss them. So number 1, this is probably my number 1 fantasy series of all time, but moving from middle grade up into adult, I am going to just go ahead and say that is Percy Jackson and The Lightning Thief. I love these books. These are probably one of the only series that I have read multiple times. If you don't know what Percy Jackson is, I can't help you because everybody knows Percy Jackson, demigod, but I love Percy Jackson. I am looking forward to the adaptation. I probably will read through again once the adaptation has a release date. Another one that I look back on with nostalgia from my teenage years is, of course, going to be The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. This one also needs no introduction. So the next one is actually, I do not like the first book in the series, and there's some other books in the series that I just don't care for, but I respect what this author has done because the way she has crafted her story, and then when you read back from the beginning, all the little Easter eggs and stuff that she planted that kind of led you to what happened in later books, I think is very masterful. So when I look back and just my overall enjoyment of the series, it is very, very great, and that is going to be The Throne of Glass by Sarah J Maas. She just, I have to give it to her, like, she has a talent, and so I did put this on because I did enjoy my time reading this series. Next is going to be one that is kind of like a fantasy romance, and that is going to be The Kiss of Deception, which is part of the Remnant Chronicles by Mary E. Pearson. I really enjoyed this book when I read it, and it is a trilogy, and it's more of a fantasy romance. It is political. She is running away from a political marriage, and things ensue from there. There's war. There's 2 kingdoms at war. So I enjoyed it when I read it. I have not reread it, so I can't tell you if it holds up, but I did enjoy it when I read it. Another one that I have claimed is one of my favorites of all time, and that is going to be Strange the Dreamer by Lady Taylor. I really enjoyed this story. So this follows our librarian Laszlo, and basically this town of Weep has been wiped out from everybody's memories. Nobody remembers what happened to it, and so Laszlo, being the historian he is, he gets chosen one day to go to Weep to figure out what it is and what happened to it, and of course he jumps on that chance. And so I really, really enjoyed this, and I really enjoyed the sequel, Muse of Nightmares, and so I have not reread this, but I think it would probably hold up, and this is going to go down as one of my favorite series of all time. Another series that I enjoyed reading, and I enjoyed it the second book more than I did the first book, and that's going to be Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I didn't care for the Shadow and Bone trilogy. It was fine. But this I really loved. And like I said, I loved Crooked Kingdom even more than Six of Crows because I love the found family trope. And this is about a group of found family thieves that are going on a heist. And sold. I loved it. And I do hope to reread this sometime in the future. And then, of course, we are going to dive into the obligatory Mr. Porn by Brandon Sanderson. If you don't know what this is by now, I'm really sorry for you. But basically, it is when the Lord Ruler has won against the good guys. And so now a group of found family misfits are going to save the day, and there's great magic. There is allomancy, which is the ingesting of metals to give you certain different powers, and I really enjoyed the magic system in this. I enjoyed everything about this. I like Brandon Sanderson's writing style. I think it's a very compulsively readable, and I would recommend this to anybody wanting to dive into fantasy. The next series that I'm fond of is a paranormal fantasy, and that is going to be Magic Bites by Lona Andrews. This is her Kate Daniels series. It has 10 books in it, and this is basically in a world where magic comes in and out, and it is in basically set in Atlanta, and Atlanta is kind of in ruins. And so there's different magical beings, and Kate Daniels starts out being like the magical police, and she meets this fine, handsome beast lord, and it goes from there. And each kind of story, even though there is an overarching plot, each kind of book has that mystery plot per book. So another one that is similar to the Kate Daniels series, that's going to be the Dresden Files by Jim Butcher. I am still reading the Dresden Files. I am on book 10, but I'm enjoying my way through this. I think it is good for a paranormal fantasy. I hear it gets even better the farther you get into it, even farther than I am. So I am looking forward to seeing how this series plays out. This follows our wizard Harry Dresden in the town of Chicago, and while there also is another overarching plot, this is also kind of like a mystery of the week kind of book. So I've enjoyed all the ones that I read so far, and they do keep getting better and better. Another series with kind of this found family is going to be Sinlin Ascends by Josiah Bancroft. So I didn't care that much for Sinlin Ascends, but I really, really loved the rest of the books in the series, even though I have not gotten to book 4 yet, even though I've heard it's a disappointment. But number 2 and number 3 in this series were fantastic. The problem with this book is it follows just one main point of view, and in the second book we find our found family and we start following multiple character POVs. But what this book follows is this character named Thomas Sinlin has recently gotten married to his new wife, and he is going to take her to this mysterious Tower of Babel that he has learned about all of his life, and he's finally going to go get to visit it on his honeymoon. Except when he gets there, he immediately loses track of his wife, and so he knows that his wife said, you know, if they get lost, they're going to go meet at the Tower of Babel. And so he goes into the tower to try to find his wife, and it goes from there. And I really enjoyed this. Like I said, I enjoyed the second and third book more, and do want to continue on with number 4. And then, of course, no surprise if you know me, that is going to be one of my, now I can say this is probably my favorite adult fantasy series, and that's going to be City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. And this book I absolutely positively adore. This follows our main character Nari, who basically has grown up thieving most of her life, and she has these healing abilities, but she's not really sure about it. But she is a con artist, and one day she tries to con somebody and accidentally conjures a djinn, and this djinn takes her and whisks her away to this other land called Davabad, where she finally figures out where those healing powers come from, who she actually is, and just the politics in this book, everything in this book, the characters, I loved them all to death. I will read anything S.A. Chakraborty writes in the future. I truly, truly, truly loved this series. So that is all for my favorite fantasy series, and I have got to read more fantasy series. This is what this boils down to, or just read more things that I like. Maybe I'm just not reading the right things. So if you think that I will like a series, please drop it down in the comments below. I do plan on, I think, doing kind of a trial and error on different fantasy books, maybe reading a few chapters to see if I want to start the series. I don't know, but I need to find some more series that I absolutely love, and so let me know, and I hope you guys are doing well in the month of May and your reading is going fantastic, and I will catch you guys later.